Well, thank you all for being here. We have, as you can see, a pretty good group of our council here today. They're pretty excited about what we're going to show you and demonstrate. Also, we're going to visit with you today about this new machine sitting behind me that I think is going to make a real difference in this city. This marks the 19th Mayor's News Briefing, and this is the first one we've done outdoors. So if you like it outdoors, maybe we'll do more. We'll look at maybe January or February next time. I think that would work out great. This machine behind me today is a new machine that's going to be filling potholes around the city. It's a process that will be more efficient than the one that we currently use today, and it'll provide higher quality patches that at the end of the day create a greater return on all of our tax dollars, including yours. In short, this machine produces a repair that is somewhat between a pothole patching and a permanent pothole repair. And so it's incredibly more durable, and we'll talk a little bit about that. On average, the city of Wichita currently patches about 50,000 potholes a year, and that's why this is so significant. It will certainly improve the necessity to go back and repair the same pothole multiple times like we find ourselves doing today. And so that's a big part of that savings, is just simply not required to repair the same pothole multiple times because it is so much more durable. This patch, and we call it a patch still, has been known to last up to 5 years. The end result, obviously, will be somewhere between a temporary patch and a permanent fix. Obviously, we're not going to fix an entire street that way. While the method is initially slightly more expensive, and not much, it's about the same, within a few cents, probably 50 cents, the same cost, it's so much more durable, and we will find ourselves yielding significant return on investment because of that. The annualized cost today of fixing a traditional pothole the way we do it is about $10.30. And so this new method initially will be about that same in $10 range, a little slightly higher. But because it's so much durable, we will see significant savings. This single machine is anticipated to fill about 5,000 potholes. So it's not going to take care of everything that we have in the city, obviously. We will still have to do a lot of the traditional methods. But I'm certain that if our staff sees a significant return on investment, this may not be the only one we'll purchase. So the residents will see this spray injection patching lasting longer, and it'll have a little bit different appearance. It'll be a little more chalky and look. It'll have rocks embedded into it differently than what you see today, and Aaron can talk about that maybe when he comes up and shares. So to sum it up, we expect the process and cost improvements to come out of this that will include faster repairs that last longer, and allow us to cover more area in less time, which means tax savings. So at this point, I'm going to turn the microphone over to Aaron Henning and let him share some information, and then you can ask him any of the hard questions.
Hi, I'm Aaron Henning, maintenance engineer with Public Works and Utilities. And first off, in order to do this process or the old process, we have to know about a pothole first. So what I wanted to do first and foremost was just remind everybody of a couple of tools that we have that allow residents to report issues like potholes and many others that can help us help keep their neighborhoods improved and in good shape. The first of those tools is Wichita Report app, which is available for both Android and iPhone phones, smartphones. You can get that. It's free to download from Google Play or iTunes, and it allows you to report a multitude of issues. And once you do that, it records a GPS location if you happen to be, probably regardless, but if you happen to be at the location where you notice the problem, it will record the GPS location of that problem, automatically feed that information into our work order system, and then it reports back to you and allows you to track the status of that concern. Among the issues that you can report are, again, pothole repair, alley repair, bridge repair, curb and gutter repair, litter pickup, sign repair, street sweeping. That's just a few of the items. Pretty much any issue I think that you find, you'll be able to find it on that app and report via that. The other tool that we have isn't as, it's an oldie but a goodie, I guess I'd say. It's simply by calling 268-4013. It's an old way of doing it, but it's highly effective. And with that, I'll turn it over to any questions.
How much does this apparatus cost?
This machine was $174,000 roughly. And that was financed in part by trading in and getting rid of an underutilized and outdated paving machine that we had.
So what are the steps that the machine will be going through while they're out of it?
Well, the machine it's basically a 4-step process. The first thing it does is allows us to shoot compressed air into the hole and clear out any loose debris. After that, you can turn on it asphalt oil just as a tack. Helps to bind everything together, the new material and the old. Once that layer of tack is put down, the machine, you can turn on the aggregate. The oil stays on, and as the aggregate comes out of the machine, it's coated with the oil and goes into the hole. And then the last step is just an application of clean aggregate over the top that helps us restore it back to traffic immediately without any tracking of oil or anything like that. Over time, most of that cover aggregate is incorporated into the repair, and it looks a lot different than the surrounding pavement immediately, but over time it blends in much better. How it's done right now, predominantly, most potholes that we have in town right now are patched with a cold mix asphalt material. And that material is very beneficial. It serves a great purpose, and it's allowed us to keep up with the tremendous demand that we have had for years. The disadvantage of it is that because it needs to be placed in all kinds of weather conditions, because it needs to be immediately available, and because you need it to be able to sit for a long time and not set, it remains very pliable and very flexible for a very long period of time, even after we put it in the patch. And that's why they're so susceptible to premature failure, especially when you get precipitation events.
The mayor mentioned that you've got 50,000 potholes that you're looking to fill every year. This is only going to address 10% of them. How are you going to decide which ones this uses and which ones you're going to use the different method?
Well, to a certain extent, like right now in periods where we don't have a lot of active potholes necessarily, this will be the primary machine operating. When we get a rain event, we have a big influx of active potholes, then we're going to deploy all of our resources to get those taken care of as quickly as we can. That's going to be much more indiscriminately, I guess, and everybody's going to be deployed to an area and they're going to work that area. This machine will be in one area. We probably won't be able to differentiate between the areas, but in the meantime, during the lulls, there are some other problems that this machine is going to help us address that, frankly, we didn't have a good answer before. We have a lot of old, very thin lift surface treatments that were applied many years ago, where we're noticing that those are beginning to delaminate in places. And they'll be reported to us as potholes, and we will respond to them as if they are, but they're very shallow. They're only half an inch deep at most. And that's a place where the cold mix asphalt that we've been using really doesn't work very well. It doesn't hold up very long at all. We've tested this machine on spots just like that, and this patch holds up very well in those conditions. So that's one of the areas that we're going to focus on when we don't have a huge glut of potholes to fix.
What is your pothole fill budget a year, basically?
It's not a line item in the budget. It's part of our overall maintenance budget.
It's not a figure you have to put at your
No, I mean, I could tell you approximately what we spend roughly just based on, our average pothole cost is around the $10.30 that the mayor mentioned. We average about $50,000 a year, so that's above $500,000 a year, if I did my math right.
Like you said, so that turn 30 cost is going to rise to roughly about 1080.
Right, the initial cost.
The initial cost.
Right.
It'll pay off in the long run. Right.
Exactly. Because the initial, using the old way, it buys us 1 year at that price. This will buy us up to 5 or more, ideally.
How many folks, is it pretty busy, your application as well as your phone number to report potholes? How busy are you guys?
I couldn't give you any hard numbers. I don't have those, but we see quite a bit of traffic on those. Most of our calls are generated by potholes, so there are periods of time where that rises dramatically.
Lily, we have those numbers. That's part of our call center, and I don't know if anyone remembers it. Janet is the one that's more involved in those kinds of things. Janet, do you know what those call center numbers were for call-ins? She failed me again. That's not the first time. But we can get those numbers to you because we separate out those call center calls, and we know how many are for these kinds of things on a weekly basis. Is that fair enough, Ken?
We can follow up and get you.
Right, we can get you those numbers. And we're going to obviously do a demonstration here today, so you're going to get to see this machine in action. So if there's nothing else, I think they want to get to the demonstration. Again, we even have City Manager Bob Layton here today. How about that? So the Vice Mayor, Councilwoman Janet Miller, Councilwoman Levanta Williams, all came out today because this is kind of a big deal. It's not often that the manager is seen in public with us, so it's a really big deal. So thank you, Bob.
You're welcome.
All right. Well, we'll let them do their demonstration. Aaron, thank you.